Welcome. Welcome, everyone. I'm Angelo Robles, and I'm going live today at a bit of an unusual time for me, but most of you will likely watch this in recording. This summer, as I noted, I had a lot of chance to do a lot of reading, a lot of writing, and things that I was building up to lay out more so towards the end of the year, even into early next year. There is a project that I did, and I am a big fanboy, I'll admit it, of the iconic Peter Drucker, the most legendary management consultant of all time. I love his books. I love watching his videos. I admit I'm an unabashed fanboy. And for you young ones who never heard of Peter Drucker, shame on you. He's incredible. Not everything great has been produced in the last year, 5 years, or 10 years. Sometimes it does go back a long time. In his case, a lot of the great work was from the 40s and 50s, but has been iconic for years to come. And I put some of his thoughts with my first principles twist in what I call the Drucker Doctrine, demolishing family office orthodoxy. Unlike some of my last recent videos, which I promised to keep relatively brief, this one is going to be a little bit longer. So as my mom would say, take out the Ovaltine, warm it up, have a good sip, and let's see if I could, well, I always want to entertain, but I would much rather provide incredible value. So on that note, without further ado, and I'll have some announcements at the end, but here we go. Again, the Peter Drucker Doctrine, demolishing family office orthodoxy. So the question that destroys comfortable assumptions. Peter Drucker's most dangerous question wasn't really complex. It was more surgical. If we weren't already doing this, knowing what we now know, would we have gotten even into it? So most family offices have never subjected their core activities really to that test. They inherited structures, not really designed them. They've accumulated practices, not really interrogated them. And the result is institutions that are optimized, especially now in today's world, for yesterday's problems, performing yesterday's rituals, pursuing yesterday's definition of success. So I kind of have it as there's 5 Drucker diagnostics that if he were alive today going into a family office, that he would likely see that family offices effectively never run. And here they go. Diagnostic 1. The mission interrogation, the fatal assumption. Our mission may be stated as wealth preservation. The Drucker reframe. Preservation is a method, sure. It's not a mission. Methods that are masquerading as missions produce activity without really true accomplishment. Have you ever thought about it that way? The real questions. What fundamental need are we fulfilling for this family? What would be irretrievably lost if we ceased to exist? Are we preserving wealth, or are we preserving the capacity? Aha, now we're getting somewhere, to create wealth. So there's an uncomfortable truth. If your mission statement could apply equally to a bank trust department, you don't really have a mission. You have a commodity service. I'm not saying I'm the original thinker of these ideas. I'm not. I read the greats. I learn about Peter Drucker. I try to put myself in their shoes and how they would look at the family office world. Diagnostic 2. The customer clarity crisis, a fatal assumption. The patriarch or matriarch is our customer. But I think the Peter Drucker reframe would be, and this is really important. Sometimes I come up with some great shit. Sometimes. The customer is whoever must be satisfied for the organization to achieve its results. So in that example or that statement, the real questions: is our customer the current within the single family office generation? Is it the rising, the next generation? Or is it the institution of the family itself? When these customers want contradictory things, well, who decides? Are we really serving customers or managing them? So here's an uncomfortable truth. Most family offices have multiple unacknowledged customers with conflicting needs, producing excellent service, like perhaps to no one. My diagnostic number 3, as I look it over here, the value proposition vacuum. So the fatal assumption, our value is beating benchmarks. I think the Drucker reframe, value is defined by the receiver, not the provider. Hear that again. Value is defined by the receiver, not the provider. The real questions: what does the next generation value that we're not providing? And you think I only talk about AI and never talk about rising gen issues. You're wrong. What do we do that no one actually values, but we keep doing it anyway? I mean, that happens in every organization, including mine. If we measured our impact and capacity building rather than basis points, like what would change? God, I hope you're all enjoying this. You're getting some of my best stuff that I've been holding on to. The uncomfortable truth: investment performance is often the family office's answer to a question the family never asked. See, all you family dynamic and governance people are loving me now. Look at all this great stuff I'm outputting. Thanks to a lot of your insights, of course. Diagnostic 4, the results reckoning, the fatal assumption. We measure what matters. I know Drucker was known to say that, but how about this reframe? If you can't measure it, you can't manage it, but more dangerously, you will manage what you measure, whether it matters or not. The real questions: do we measure family cohesion as rigorously as portfolio returns? Can we quantify next-gen capability development? What critical results are we achieving that we're not measuring? What are we measuring that drives behavior contrary to our mission? So what's the uncomfortable truth there? Family offices measure financial capital with precision and human capital effectively with platitudes. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to do a little different variation and do this one again live in a week. I think this is actually one of the best things I ever did. Thanks to Peter Drucker and many of you for saying, Angelo, it can't all be AI. You're right. Family offices are complex. Diagnostic 5, the plan paradox, the fatal assumption. Our strategic plan is our investment strategy. Really? Drucker's reframe. How about plans are worthless, but planning? I think General Dwight Eisenhower said this as well, but planning is everything. The plan isn't the document. It really is the capacity to adapt and iterate. So again, staying in my format, the real questions: what capabilities must we build systematically? What knowledge must the next generation acquire or master? What governance muscles, effectively how we make decisions, must we develop? How do we build learning systems, not just reporting systems? And an uncomfortable truth, again, staying in my format, most family offices really have a financial plan and call it a strategy. Strategy is capability building. Everything else is tactics. And by the way, all these things I'm talking about apply to multifamily offices and really apply to entities, corporations, anyone. And obviously within families, which is what I'm focusing on, these are the things you need to be thinking about. So the sacred cows that I think Peter Drucker would slaughter: the quarterly review charade, What it is ritualized reporting of backwards looking metrics to validate pre-existing allocations. What Drucker would ask, is this meeting improving our decision-making capability or ratifying our reluctance to decide? Aha. The first principles alternative, quarterly learning reviews. What did we learn this quarter? What assumptions did markets invalidate? What capability gaps did we expose? And what will we now do differently? Committee-based stagnation. What it is, distributed decision-making optimized for risk avoidance and blame diffusion, of course. What Drucker would ask, who is accountable? Who is accountable for the results? And do they have the authority to produce them? The first principles alternative, single point accountability with clear decision rights. Committees advise, sure, but individuals decide, systems learn. Now I can incorporate AI and what's happening there into that and some other things I'm talking about. But now I'm showing you a roadmap as a human and these important subjects that are going to keep you gainfully employed and of value to the family. Because a lot of the things AI is just going to steamroll you over. I promise that. But I didn't want to talk too much about AI here. Let's continue. Diversification as orthodoxy, what it is. Geographic and asset class diversification as an unquestioned dogma. What Drucker would ask, are we diversifying to reduce risk or to disguise our inability, to identify excellence? The first principles alternative, concentrated excellence, build positions in areas of genuine. Do you have any competitive advantages? Patient capital, the family office, the heart of it from an investing perspective, deployed against asymmetric opportunities, monopoly returns, not index returns. That is a subject I don't talk too much about, but very important, by the way. And I think Drucker, his perspective would be something like this, and that would be checkbook philanthropy. What it is, writing checks to causes and calling it impact. What Drucker would ask, what is the result we seek? And is our approach the most effective means to meet that result? Now, my first principles twist on that, operational philanthropy, kind of building institutions, not endowments, measure social returns. How about as vigorously as financial returns? Deploy family talent, not just the capital. My God, you rising gens and family dynamic thought leaders and experts, you got to be loving me on this one. You don't hear some of these things too much from me. Estate planning theater, what it is, optimization of tax structures, but really divorced from purpose. Drucker would state, what are we optimizing for? Tax efficiency or the family flourishing? JUs, you got to like me for that one. The first principles alternative, structure follows strategy. Legal architecture serves family cohesion and capability building. Sure, tax efficiency is a constraint. It's not necessarily the objective. So the Drucker operating system, taking a brief look at my notes, from reaction to systemic renewal, quarter one. The abandonment discipline. Drucker's principle, the first step in a growth policy is not to decide where and how to grow. It's to decide kind of what to abandon. Sort of the great things that he wrote. Awesome. The practice. List every activity consuming more than 40 hours per quarter. Subject each to, if we weren't doing this, would we start today? And maybe kill the bottom 20%. Redeploy those resources to building capabilities. How about that? The metric, percentage of effort spent on activities that didn't exist 24 months ago. So this is how I think, as again, anyone, forget even any kind of family office, right? Legal firms, accounting, financial businesses, entrepreneurs, these are really important principles. Again, not everything was created like in the last 2.5 years. Quarter two, the results revolution, the Drucker principle. We all heard it. I said it earlier. What gets measured gets managed. Now, the practice, well, defines success for the next generation. Well, how about in their terms? Build measured systems for human capital deployment, create family dashboards, tracking capability, not just capital. Establish learning metrics. What do we know that we didn't know the last quarter? The metric. Can every family member articulate their personal development plan? And how about measuring the progress against it? Again, these are things that are going to make the family office, the advisor to the family office, that AI is kind of not capable at the moment to do and be very valuable, not only for you and your gainful employment, but more importantly, your excellence in service to the family or whatever you define as the client. Quarter three. Well, how about the Skunks Works initiative? The Drucker's principle. The best way to predict the future is to create it. God, that guy had some great comments. The practice. Launch next-gen venture funds, fund family member entrepreneurship, build operating companies, not just investment portfolios. Get your hands a little dirty. Create systemic opportunities for wealth creation, sure, not just wealth management. The metric, again, I'm trying to stay a little bit on point here to some of the things I wrote and thought through and now live on camera. The metric, percentage of capital actively creating value versus passively preserving value. Quarter four. I told you this, I'm really feeling this one. This will be a long one. The institutionalization phase. Drucker's principle. Build systems that don't require heroes. Interesting. The practice. So convert successful experiments into operating procedures. Document learning for institutional memory. Now is where AI could be very powerful. And I love systems like Notion and other platforms that could be AI enhanced, subject for a different time. Build governance for adaptation, not control. Build governance for adaptation, not control. Create succession for capabilities, not just roles. The metric, can the system produce results without heroic individual effort? The contrarian kill shot, professional management as pathology. So the industry narrative, professional family office management brings discipline, expertise, and best practices. Well, the uncomfortable question, what if professionalization is optimized, I kind of hinted at this earlier, for the wrong things? I mean, is there evidence of this? Professional managers optimize for risk management, not for opportunity creation. Institutional processes produce, well, sometimes institutional mediocrity. And best practices, I mean, I like them too. They're useful in some things, but in the single family office, they're way less useful. Best practices are, by definition, I've been talking about this for years, average practices. Really, it's first principles thinking that's valuable. Professional incentives align with stability, not transformation. So maybe there's an alternative hypothesis. The most effective family offices really aren't per se professionally managed. They're systematically entrepreneurial. They don't hire managers, they develop builders. Now, my perspectives about talent, technology, and systems is very unique for the industry, probably shocking to some of you. Again, subject for a different time. While others optimize for safety, how about optimize for learning? Conventional, diversify across asset classes and geographies. Contrarian, concentrate in areas, like I said earlier, of genuine insight and operational advantage. Conventional, committee-based governance for consensus. Contrarian, single point accountability with systemic learning reviews. Systematic. My bad. All sorts of English issues back to my younger days. How my brain works is different. Conventional, professional wealth management. Contrarian, family-led wealth creation with professional support, of course. Conventional, next-gen education and wealth preservation. Well, as I hinted at like 3 times now, contrarian, next-gen apprenticeship in wealth creation. It's a very important distinction. I think what I would call Drucker's final verdict, the fundamental inversion. The industry belief, managing money equals stewarding families. Drucker's truth, these are not only different activities, they often kind of work against each other. So a core insight, managing wealth produces dependency. I've been talking about that for years as well. Building wealth creates the capability to produce autonomy. Managing risk produces conservatism. Building judgment, now that could produce real wisdom. Managing portfolios could produce returns, of course. Building people, now that's what creates real dynasties. Family offices have become wealth management operations with kind of the families attached, when they should be family development operations with the wealth attached. It's a good one. The first principle's reframe. Why don't we start here? Your portfolio probably doesn't need developing. Your people do. Your wealth doesn't need managing. Your capabilities do. And, well, your wealth doesn't need preserving. Well, we could debate that one. But your mission does. So the Drucker standard, I hope I'm motivating you to all go out and read Peter Drucker's great books and watch some of those old videos that are still up on YouTube. Just amazing. A family office exists to systematically develop the capability of a family to create value across generations. Would you agree? Everything else, even investment management, tax optimization, administration support, is in service to that mission, sure. Or, I guess it really doesn't belong. The nuclear question for your, whatever you want to say, family office organization, if you weren't already structured as, let's call it a wealth management organization, knowing what you know about your family's actual needs, think about this internally. Would you design what you have today? If the answer is no, you now kind of know what needs to be done. I've given you, some of you are not even members, but 99% of people, they hear, but they really don't listen, and they don't take actions to change. The only question is, do you have the discipline to do it? And yes, joining what I've built, a private membership, strategy, and intelligence community dedicated to family offices, what I call SFO continuity. And going to my website, angelorobles.com, allows you to get the direct insight, the proprietary information, the programming, and all I do to help teach a lot of these principles. Because the obvious solution is usually the inherited solution, and inherited solutions are optimized for what I say are yesterday's problems. I know by nature, I've been in this community a long time. I've been wrong a lot. I know I'm a contrarian. I look different. I sound different. I'm a little loud. And I have some different perspectives. Like I've said before, I don't need to be likable. I need to be, am I a deeper thinker? Am I producing content that you're often not hearing in other parts of the community? That doesn't mean that I don't enjoy going to events. I don't like hosting events. Done right and intimately and really diving deep, they could be very, very valuable. And I have a little bit of me that enjoys being social. A good glass of wine, a great cigar, good company, a good laugh. It's wonderful. Of course it is. But me, like to grow my beard, go up to the woods in Wyoming, and kind of be alone sometimes for a while, or disappear like I did a little bit this summer. Mainly a little more East Coast centric, and think through things, read, learn from the greats of the past to the new things happening and all that AI is bringing, which could be the good and the bad. And again, I speak enough about that, so there's no reason to harp upon that too much here. But I hope you're enjoying some of the more unique perspectives, I guess you could say, that I have. It doesn't mean it's always going to work for you and it's going to be applicable in your unique situation. Every family office, every person, of course, is very different. You could walk away with one nugget to make you rethink something that you're doing. This world is very, very competitive. You're going to be judged on your competency and your utility that you provide. And in a world where AI is growing rapidly, where that IQ of AI, if it doubles every 6 months, per mainly energy is going to be the only thing really holding it back. And that compounds, do the math on that. It's going to blow us out of the water sooner rather than later. So what is your competency? What is your utility effectively to yourself, your family, to the world, to what you represent? Are you working on getting better every day? And a lot of the things that I spoke about here, AI could be a complement to, but you are still needed. I'm not going to say that's going to last forever. I'd be lying to you. But you're going to be good if you adapt and iterate in today's world. And those of you in family offices and financial services, I'm just shocked you're hearing so little about this. And I make the circuit pretty good. So again, if you want to dive really deeply into a lot of these subjects, you want to go to angelorobles.com and you effectively want to join. You want to be a member. Stop overthinking it. I know it's not that cheap. You're going to get value out of it instantly. My biggest issue that I have with my members, I don't think they use me enough. Use me. If you're overdoing it, I will let you know and I'll convert it to a consulting assignment. That happens very, very, very rarely. I love what I do. I'm obsessed by it. I am imperfect. I'm sure there's higher IQ and more talented people. I want to outwork them. I get up earlier than you. I stay up later. I'm reading, I'm studying, and I'm experimenting with my own things that I do relative to the things that I talk about. I live through it. So if you're enjoying the conversation today, and I made this more of a longer solo than some of the 10 or 15 minute ones I've done. And I honestly probably should have made this one initially for members only first, but I decided to open it up. But they're the ones that are going to get some of the more proprietary content around it, the capability of direct reach out, and the ability, sometimes they just have to ask me for how some of these things could be of value within their family. So those of you that only think Angelo only talks about investing, about technology, about AI, and all really, really important things. Today, relatively little of that, and more so about the things that many of you have kind of wanted me to comment from my unique brain perspective a little bit differently than how you're hearing it from many others in that aspect of the community. So without further ado, I think I probably went long enough in terms of, like I said, what's expected through the end of the year. I'm speaking at a program on alternative investments in New York in October. I'm leading 2 sessions, one on geopolitical issues, the other one on AI in the Cayman Islands. I think that's November 10th and 11th. I will be at Art Basel, Miami. I will have 1 or 2 member breakfast meetings here in New York to wrap up the year. And then I look forward to a really great day late January in Miami that I'll be kind of co-hosting within a program. And then my multi-day program in March in Palm Beach, which is my marquee program. Jump on board now just for that. It's really, really going to be incredible. But again, my members also get private updates, private videos, proprietary content that I write. I did mention I have 2 books. One of them I kind of quasi-released. Members get first access to that and content that I'm going to produce around that. So I'm excited about that. And I got my AI Family Office Masterclass coming up in New York in person over 2 days. It's up on my website, November 5th and 6th. I admit it's a premium. It's going to change your life. It's worth it. It's going to give you a massive edge. Massive. And the family offices that have jumped on board from understanding the fact of how to build sovereign AI, how to control it, not have it touch the cloud, your proprietary information, how to vibe code AI agents, how it can help you make better decisions. It's a really small number. You're going to get a huge edge, a massive edge by jumping on board that now. I may only do 2 or 3 of those in all of 2026. I did a pretty lot this latter half of this year because I'm going to focus more on one-on-one work with that, with me and my dream team and one family at a time, kind of quasi-consultative, what I call family office mansion, also up on my website. I'm going to get a couple of those assignments around the world. I have a trip upcoming more late first quarter to the Middle East. I'll go back to Europe again, hopefully for at least 4 to 7 days this winter. I am busy. Just because I don't do as much, I tend to come and go in spurts relative to what I make more public. It usually means I'm really busy reading, learning, readapting some thoughts, changing my opinion, or traveling, hosting programs. It's just, I'm busy. I'm obsessed with what I do. I don't let my age of 60 years old get in the way. The hell with that. With age, well, I would say comes wisdom, but sometimes not. I'm always working on my competency, which you have to do as well, and my utility to the world. And I have to adapt and I have to iterate, because if I stand still, way too many people who are brilliant and smart are going to pass me by. And I don't want that to happen to you as a family, you as an executive in a family office, or you a provider and providing value to yourself and your family. I want to be a resource to you. Use me. Reach out to me. You know how to reach me through the website. Many of you could just simply text me. I'm more than happy for now. I may change this next year. Giving my real number, it's 203-570-2898. You can email me at angelo@angelorobles.com. Follow me across all my socials. And on that note, everyone, on that note, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this. This was probably about the most passionate I've been, and I'm a pretty obsessed and loud kind of guy, on something that I was thinking through, that I wrote up broadly over the summer, and just wanted to pontificate some of my thoughts on it now. And I do love me, my Peter Drucker. He's incredible. A lot of incredible people have lived and provided value on this earth. And some of them go back a long, long time. And they're, even in today's world, a lot of their advice and their thinking through problems and challenges and knowing how they seize opportunities, it's still amazing all these years later. I appreciate you. Thank you all so much, and have a great evening. And I'll end this Thursday. Again, this is live. If you're hearing it live, it's a little after 6 o'clock. Thursday night football. Go Giants. Thank you all so much.